Okay, so to start out in Project Zomboid properly now, you're going to want to be in Build 41. So over here in Steam, just right-click on Project Zomboid, hit Properties, we'll bring up this tab. You're going to go over to Betas, and there's a little drop-down menu here. I believe you should be on None by default. You're going to want to select I will back up my save public test version. You're going to hit that, and you don't need to put in a code or anything. And once you select that, you should be good to go. And then you just load up the game, and you will be playing in the animations. Alright, and then once you're in a game, which there's all sorts of settings that you can adjust to make the game however you want to have it. You'll typically be in a starting house. You'll have this little guide over here that'll help you out. So basic controls, WASD to walk around, shift to jog, and E for everything. E opens doors, opens windows. If you hold it, you'll jump over fences. So we'll run over here, hold E, hop the fence, press E to open. Sometimes windows will be locked, sometimes you can break the lock and then you can't open it. Or you can hold E at an open window and you'll climb through. Alternatively, the safer way is to right click and climb through. Press Alt and you sprint. You're not going to sprint for very long before you get tired. So let's just let's sprint around a little bit and get ourselves winded, because then I can show you how to recover from stamina loss. And this guy's actually sprinting for quite a while compared to what I'm used to, because I didn't take any traits. I just took a very bland character. Alright, there we go. A couple of moodles popped up. Unpleasantly hot and moderate exertion. So if we go inside, there's a couple of ways to take care of moderate exertion. First off, you can right click and just sit on the ground, and there it goes away. Also, our unpleasantly hot went away because we went inside. Typically the climate is much more comfortable inside buildings as well. In Build 41, the TV can give you experience. Only at certain times of the day. I believe it's 6 a.m., noon, 6 p.m., and midnight. There's typically a show on, and the show is going to be on Life and Living. Real quick, to show you how to adjust that, you right-click on the TV and select Device Options. It's going to bring up a little menu thing for the TV. You got the volume control here. You can change that just by hitting that. And of course, the louder the TV, the further it'll draw zombies into you. To select a channel, just select the drop-down. And let's check out Pause TV, and we hit Tune In, and then it'll change it over to it. And then there's a little readout of just kind of what's going on. I don't think any of these channels are going to teach you anything other than Life and Living. I think that's the only one that'll have something for you. Of course, you can also just turn off the TV, or you can just turn it on. And when nothing's playing on that channel, the old familiar screen. Okay, so back to some more basics. I've got these set up here, and if you see this little like thumbtack up here, you can switch that to the little arrow with a line, and at that point, that window will stay open. You switch it back to a thumbnail, and click outside of it, it'll drop down, and then you just have to hover over it, and it'll open it back up. And I like, you can also click and drag and move these around. I like keeping my loot windows and inventory and status window up here so I can, you know, in the heat of things, I can easily just hover over it and check it. But to each their own. Also, you click the box. If you don't have those open by default, you can just click this box over here and it'll bring up Steve Walker's inventory. Steve Walker's the character, and then the loot window over here. Right now it's on this bookshelf right here. This little tile pattern, that's the floor. There's nothing on the ground around here. And whenever you walk around, stuff it'll change what's being selected. Alternatively, you can just click on the item if you're close enough. Next thing is your status. You click the heart, and it'll bring up this window here. And it'll show your health. Everything's okay, no injuries. And it's through this menu here where you can see any injuries that you accumulate, as well as address them with first aid. I'll be making another video to cover that a little more in depth. And then next to that, in the tabs, we've got our skills. Next to that, we've got info, and this is your character's info. Once we get a digital watch, it'll tell us how long we've survived in-game. It's going to tell us the zombies we've killed. Over here, we've got the temperature system. This is new to build 41, and right now you can see skin temperature. And we got core temperature and body heat generation. Basically, this is just the temperature of your body, and it's broken down into different parts of the body, just like the health system. And then body heat generation, I can demonstrate how this is going to change just by doing a little jogging. You can see body heat generation goes up pretty quickly as we exercise. It'll do the same as you fight, and along with the body heat generation, your core temperature will rise. Now, it can go the other direction too, which is bad. You can freeze to death. And so, to control that, you've got clothing options here. You can see here, we look at the jeans. The insulation is at about 75%. That means the jeans are going to do a pretty decent job of keeping us warm. At least the body parts that they cover, which for the jeans, it's going to be, you know, shins up to your waist. All that good stuff. And we can right-click on the jeans and hit inspect, and it'll tell us just the parts. You know, right shin, right thigh, left thigh, and groin. So yep, exactly where you would expect pants to cover. And it's going to tell you the armor effectiveness of it against bites, 10% protection. Scratch protection is 20%. Here it'll show the condition, and you can repair these later in the game. Global blood level, I'm guessing that's just the amount of blood on them. And then global dirtiness, that's just general dirtiness from, you know, normal wear and tear on them. And then we look at insulation, and this is an overview of our clothing insulation on our body. So we've got really good insulation on our feet. The jeans are pretty good insulation, but the rest of our body, you know, the t-shirt doesn't give us much. And we don't have anything on our head, neck, or forearms or hands. Some other basics, we got a crafting menu here. This will tell us various recipes that we know. You can learn more recipes from various books. Let's see if we've got one in here. Right here. The Hunter Magazine Volume 2. You hover over it, it'll tell you, teaches recipe. Teaches you how to make a wooden cage trap and a stick trap. And it also tells us that this is unread. So if we right-click it and read, we're going to get a little progress bar, and recipe books, you read through them pretty fast. It's like a magazine article as opposed to a whole book. And now that's going to be in our inventory. It doesn't go away. Unlike the newspapers and the boredom and stress reduction literature. They disappear after you use them. But this will remain in our inventory. But unless you're doing a legacy playthrough where you load up a new character into the same world when you die, you have no need for it anymore. And now it'll always say always read. Even if we come across a new one of those books out in the world, it'll say already read. Other thing we got over here is furniture management stuff. So we select pick up. Certain things can be picked up, like this dark wooden chair. Its weight is 7.5, so once we pick it up, it'll be in our inventory here, and it'll count towards our total weight we can carry without being over-encumbered. The absolute maximum weight you can carry, I believe, is 50 units, kilograms, pounds, whatever you want to call them. And it'll also tell us right there, tool, none. This means we don't have to have a tool in our inventory or equipped to pick this up, as opposed to... yeah, this hardwood shelf over here. The tool, we need a hammer or a stone hammer in order to pick this shelf up. Also, that shelf has items in the container, which means we have to empty it out before we can pick it up. And then it also has a chance to break at a 67.5%. So it's very likely we will destroy that trying to pick it up. And that's based off of our carpentry skill. So let's go ahead and pick up this chair real quick. Alright, and then we can select place. We can put it down pretty much wherever we want. And that's how you move furniture. Of course, it wouldn't be a zombie game if there weren't zombies to kill, right? So, I'm going to teach you a little something about combat, real quick. Okay, here's a wooden mallet. You can see down here, this is our hotbar selection. Since we're wearing a belt, we've got 2 belt slots we can equip stuff to, or normally, and for larger stuff, we can only equip it to our back, which we've got 1 slot. We can expand this with a holster to have 4, or with a double holster to have 4 and 5, and those can hold handguns. So let's just equip this mallet in our primary slot, and we'll go out the door now. And you got this weapon. You might be thinking spacebar to attack. You'd be wrong. Spacebar, well, that is an attack. It's not a damage-dealing attack. It's just a shove. It has a chance to knock them to the ground, in which case you can then come up and stomp on them with the spacebar again. To attack, you're going to hold the right mouse button, and you can just kind of see from my cursor there, you've got that little reticule. That's where you're aiming. And you're not going to want to aim directly on a zombie when they're right up on you. Go past them just a little bit. And this is also how you're going to make your directional attacks. Now, to actually attack while holding the right mouse button, just click the left mouse button. Every time I click the left mouse button while holding the right mouse button, that's an attack. If you're not holding the right mouse button, you won't attack. Hold it. Now, if you get the shove animation when you're clicking, that means the zombie is too close for you to effectively use your weapon, so it's just going to be a little pushback, get a little range, and just keep clicking then, and you'll hit him again. That's the basics, and there's a lot of things that can be used as weapons. As you can see on the item list here, it'll say weapon. Now, some things have more than one purpose. For instance, this blue pen, it's not just a weapon. With that in our inventory, if we had a map, we can make marks on the map. We can make annotations on the map. So there's that. Another example of a dual-purpose weapon would be the saucepan here. We can equip it as a weapon, but we can also cook with it. Now to drink, just go to a water source and drink. We can also fill the saucepan with water. And there's so many different containers you can fill with water. Water bottles, whiskey bottles, pans, bowls, mugs. And what that's going to do is now we've got a saucepan with water. So we're not going to be using it as a weapon anymore. Instead, we're just carrying a pan of water around and we're going to slowly drink from it. You can see there it has a remaining bar, and that green bar will go down over time as we drink from it. But it's going to provide us with water. It's going to take care of our thirst need. Now you can see up here we've got another moodle, peckish. Now your moodles here are going to give you an overview of all the different things, because you don't have status bars for hunger and thirst and exertion and all that good stuff. So we got peckish, could do with a bite to eat. So let's find something to eat. Yeah, here's an empty mug. We could fill that with water, and that's more water we could take with us. Okay, in the fridge here we've got some zucchini, milk, and eggplant. Let's just we can use this stuff to cook up something, or we can just eat it. So let's eat a quarter of the zucchini. And we come in here, the zucchini's in our inventory, and you can see on the zucchini, the remaining, some of it went down and provided some progress towards our hunger and thirst. And you can see now with 3/4 of the zucchini remaining, which there isn't a representation of how much zucchini is remaining, other than how much hunger and thirst it will take care of. Hunger -7, thirst -7. So it'll bring hunger and thirst down. Let's just eat the rest of it and see if this moodle goes away. Yeah, there we go. We're no longer hungry. Now there are positive moodles as well. So let's eat all of this eggplant, which is going to give us 15 hunger and 9 thirst. Well fed. Tummy full, goodness making its way through your system. There's also like full to bursting and other positive ones as well. You do need to sleep unless you're in multiplayer. If you're in multiplayer, there's no sleep. But in single player, you gotta sleep. So you just find a bed, right click on it. Gonna ask you, are you sure you want to sleep? Yes. And don't do what I did and leave the door open and be in an unsecure area. But this is just a tutorial, not playing for reals. So we hit sleep, and we're gonna have, if you had a time up here, you know, it'd be fast forwarding. It progresses a lot of time as you sleep. And then you wake up, and your rest is fulfilled, and it looks like it's now dusk. So, yeah.